Hello children, today we are going to start our chapter number 2 from the history section. The name of the chapter is Cultural Heritage of India and Traditional Handicraft and Fine Arts. So in this particular chapter we are going to mainly see and study about the traditional handicraft of our country and also about the fine arts. If you have seen the index of your textbook, then you can see that all the chapters are related to one special topic. This particular chapter is related to the handicraft and fine arts. Let us go further. Now first of all, let us revise what is heritage. Then anything that we get from our ancestors is considered as heritage. We get it from our ancestors. Physical, mental characteristic that a child inherits from his parent by birth is known as genetic heritage. Genetic heritage means the physical characteristic, the mental characteristic of the child is considered as genetic, means that he gets from his parents. Estate, land, property, assets are called marital heritage. They are called the material heritage. Means all the property that can be touched, then can be acquired by you, is considered as material heritage. Okay, so we can say that whatever man obtains or creates with his intellect and skill is considered as cultural heritage. So this is the definition we already studied into the first chapter. Whatever man obtains or creates with his intellect and skill is considered as cultural heritage. So in this particular chapter we are going to mainly see about the cultural heritage of handicraft and of the fine arts. Now, rich Indian culture. We know that India was known as Sone ki Chidiya in the past. Now why India was known as Sone ki Chidiya in the past? Because India was very prosperous nation. It was a rich country and all the kingdoms, all the kings that were ruling into India were very rich. So the traders who used to come to India for trade, they used to call India Sone ki Chidiya, means a golden bird, a very prosperous nation, very prosperous country. Along with prosperity, Indian culture was also very prosperous. See, Indian culture is richer than most other cultures. Indian culture is richer than most other cultures. Now here richer doesn't mean money. Here richer means it is more progressive, it is more elaborate, it is more detailed, and it is more varied than any other culture. So Indian culture is more richer than any other culture, and that we have already felt. If we do not preserve our culture, then we might lose our identity. This is a very important point, that if we don't preserve our culture, you might have seen when you go to any of the monuments, any of the historical places, you might have seen people have written their names there, people have split there, people are destroying those places consciously or unconsciously. That is very wrong thing. So if we don't preserve our heritage, if we are not able to preserve our heritage, then we might lose our identity. We also lose our identity when we follow other cultures. You might have seen that people are following the western cultures, they are following the western festivals and also the western customs and traditions, and due to that the originality of our culture, the prosperity of our culture is getting blur, is getting dull now. There is a reference of 64 arts in ancient culture. See, in our ancient scriptures there are mentioning of 64 arts, 64 different kinds of art: painting, dancing, literature, poetry, drama, and all kind of other arts are all included. So different 64 different kind of art is mentioned. There is a reference into the ancient Indian literature. India has been the land of art and craft. See, India have been a land of art and craft. We have already studied about, or you might be knowing about, the Harappan civilization, one of the oldest civilizations of the world. It was also one of the most progressive civilizations of world at that time, and they were very advanced in comparison to the other civilizations of that particular time. The first topic that we are going to study about is clay work. Clay work. Now, clay is an integral part of Indian culture. Clay is a very integral part of Indian culture. See, man and clay are closely connected. Man and clay are closely connected. They are associated, very closely associated. Okay, whole life revolves around clay. Our whole life revolves around clay. How? Then you might have seen that in olden time toys, pots, pictures, then lamps, then stove, all were made up of clay, and this all things were used into day to day life of man, and that's why we can say that whole life revolves around the clay. Before invention of metal, clay was used extensively. See, before the invention of the metal, clay was used extensively for making all the required things for day-to-day life of man. We get the idea of the clay art by seeing different clay toys and other things found from the ancient places like Kalibanga, which is situated in Rajasthan. Okay, we can find different kind of toys, then different kind of things, different kind of items that are found at very ancient places like Kalibanga, which is one of the, you can say, one of the Harappan towns that is having the same kind of situation like the Harappa had. Clay is used baked and unbaked. See, clay is used in both ways, baked and unbaked. Unbaked clay is called terracotta. This you need to remember. Unbaked clay is called terracotta. We get the idea of clay art by seeing different clay toys from other places, right? This we have already seen. This is an example of terracotta. You might have seen such kind of decorative items at different museums, at hotels, restaurants, and even at your home sometimes. So this horse is made of terracotta, and it is a unbaked clay. Unbaked clay. Next topic that we are going to study is the weaving and embroidery, art of weaving and embroidery. India has a unique place in weaving and embroidery. So India has a very unique place in weaving and embroidery, and that's why India is considered a very important place for weaving and embroidery. A whole taka of fine muslin cloth can pass through ring. Say, in the muslin cloth which was made in Dhaka. Dhaka is right now the capital of Bangladesh. Right now it is capital of Bangladesh, but in olden times it was part of India. So a whole taka is a measurement, basically a length of cloth used to pass through a ring. It was so delicate, it was so smooth that it can easily pass through a ring. Then Patola of Pattern. See, Patola of Pattern are world famous. You might have heard this song. Okay, related to it also in Gujarati. Okay, Patola is basically a type of sari which can be worn on both the sides. They are also very famous, and they are from Pattern. They are from Pattern. Then Bandini is also of Rajasthan and also of Gujarat are world famous. Bandini of Rajasthan and Gujarat is also world famous. Then Kanjivaram sari and Kasab work of Kashmir. Kanjivaram sari of South. This is not of Kashmir. Kanjivaram sari of South and Kasab work of Kashmir is very famous. In next slide we are going to see about what they are, and that is very famous. This is the muslin cloth that I was talking. It is from Dhaka and is very famous. This is the Patola. The Patola. Then the Kanjivaram sari. This is the Kanjivaram sari, and this work which is done here, a very intrinsic, a very detailed weaving work which is very famous from Kashmir. This is Kasab work. This type of work is known as Kasab work. Now let us talk about Patola of Pattern. Okay, as I told you, Patola of Pattern was world famous. Now it was very famous during the Solanki era. Basically from Solanki era, this particular art was very famous. Raja Siddharth Jaisi became, he was a promoter of this particular kind of art, and Siddharth Jaisi used to rule in Gujarat between 1092 AD to 1142 AD. 1092 AD to 1142 AD, and during this time this art had evolved. So we can say the art of Patola is 850 years old. Actually it's older than this also, but here you need to remember this particular word, date 850. Very few people are right now there who can do such kind of work. There are very few people left who can do such kind of work, and it is a very complicated work. It is not known by many of the people right now. This photograph is of Raja Siddharth Jaisi, and he was the promoter of Patola of Pattern. Now you can see in this particular photograph, two men are working on weaving of this patola. Now as I told you, patola is made in such a way that it can be worn on both the sides. The design which is made on it is made in such a way that it can be worn on both the sides. Now usually when a weaving is done, you might have seen weaving in Gujarati is called bharatkam. When bharatkam is done, on one side it looks very beautiful, but on the other side you might have seen that all the threads and all kind of messy work is seen at the second side of it, which is not too beautiful as the front side. But this patola is woven in such a way that on both the sides it will look beautiful and similar. The patola are prepared by Beuda Ikta. Okay, here Ikta means weaving. Ikta means weaving, means taco. Beuda is double. Beuda is double. It is weaved in such a way that it can be worn on both the sides. As I told you, it is designed in such a way that it can be worn on both the sides. Now patola are very famous. As I told you, they are very famous cloth, one type of sari of Gujarat. And due to that, there is a saying in Gujarati which I am reciting before you. પડી પટોળે ભાત ફાટે પણ ફીટે નહીં. પડી પટોળે ભાત ફાટે પણ ફીટે નહીં. What does it say? It say that પડી પટોળે ભાત. Bhat here means pattern. The pattern which is made on patola, right? The pattern which is made on patola, ફાટે પણ ફીટે નહીં. ફાટે means the cloth will tear off, the cloth will torn off due to an intensive use, but the pattern will never fade off. Fite means fade off. It will never become dull. The luster, the shining of patola is very good, and due to that patolas are very expensive. They are very expensive, as very few people are making it. Next is Bandini. Now you all might have seen this at your home. Bandini of Jamnagar, Jethpur, Bhuj and Mandvi are very popular in Gujarat. Bandini of Jamnagar, Jethpur, Bhuj and Mandvi are very popular. They are very popular. You need to remember these names. It has design of elephant, puppet and dices. You might have seen in Bandini the designs are very common. Okay, usually they are related to squares, and What are the common designs that are used in Bandini? Then puppet, elephant, puppet, dices, okay, dices, and so it luster means shiningness. Luster is shiningness, remains intact with bright colors. They are very bright colors. You can see the background that I've used, okay, is of bandhani. Now why it is known as bandhani, why this particular term, why this cloth is known as bandhani, let us see. This is the process of making a bandhani. First of all, a white color cloth is taken, and at intervals in a fixed design whichever they want to make, strings are tied. You can see here strings are tied on the cloth, right? Then that white color cloth is dyed, it is colored, right? It is colored, and then it is kept for drying. Now here you might have seen this plastic used. Now this plastic is used when they want to dye a single cloth into different colors, okay. Then they are opened up and they are kept for drying. Here as you can see, they are kept for drying, and later on when the knots, when the thread which are tied up here, the threads which are tied up here are open, they will look something like this. They will look something like this. Those places where the threads are tied up, though that places will not get color, and due to that it will get a beautiful texture which is very unique and which is very famous into the whole world. And due to this process, this type of cloth is known as bandhani. This cloth is known as bandhani. Next is cloth weaving. Cloth weaving. Cloth weaving has become a small scale industry, okay? It has become a small scale industry into India. Various subdivisions of embroidery are also found, like silk work, then Ari Bharat. These are different kind of cloth weaving that are seen along with the embroidery. Women decorate home with Tauron, Chakhda, Shak, Todalia and bedsheet. You might have seen in olden times and right now also, when if you go to village, then you might see this thing: Torans, Chakhda, Shak, Todalia and bed sheets that are made with embroidery. Jat community of Bani area of Kutch is very famous for such kind of work. The Jat community is very famous for such kind of work. This is Tauron. You see, this is Tauron. You might have seen into your house also, or if you've gone to your village. This is Chakhda. These are usually the square into square pattern and hung on the walls. This is Shak. Okay, they are hung on side of the entrance. Shak. This is Todalia. This is Todalia. And this is bed sheet with embroidery. So you can see that embroidery is used in Gujarat and in India into different ways to decorate the houses in the most beautiful way it is possible. So we'll keep till here, and you have to read into your textbook, and we'll study further into the next session.